the idea of you kind of staring down, what you're after in the doc. Can you just speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think this album was really about confronting legacy, not bowing down to it. I wanted to, because it was the most musically ambitious project we've ever done. I wanted to re-record a live version of the album 3 weeks after we delivered it. You know what I mean? Not after we've been on the road for a year. I still wanted that heartbeat when the red light goes on. It's not muscle memory yet. I don't know necessarily how I sing it yet. I think because when you're in the studio,
Yeah.
it comes out of you for the first time. So the magic is encapsulated. And then 2 years after you've been playing it on the road, it's muscle memory. So you can sing it in your sleep and you know every inflection and you know every breath. But I really wanted to kind of go to a legendary studio, Hansa Studios in Berlin, Bowie, Iggy, Lou Reed, U2, Depeche Mode, you name it, and stand in the room and see if I could step up and perform this record in the room where so many epiphanies and hits have come from that ceiling, and really just kind of challenge my band to recreate this album. And it was such a crazy experience because Paul Dugdale directed it, and he's such a great director because he is all about the truth. And I love that about him. And I think he's been making films for pop stars for quite a long time. So I think he was ready for a bit of unhinged behavior. You know what I mean? In the film, I was like, we're there for 10 days. I want you to roll everything. I don't want any part of the edit. Because you know what it's like as an artist, if you have part of the edit, you can kill the honesty of the film because I don't know, it's like, oh, I don't look good there, or I'm singing a bit out of tune there, or we're having an argument there, or maybe I don't want to reveal that. I was like, right, you get free reign. I'm going to see it once. I've seen the film twice. It's so uncomfortable for me to watch. I'm like, oh God. But I think letting it happen and letting it be out there was something that, again, I think the biggest issue people have had with me is they have questioned my authenticity because in today's day and age, there is no mystery anymore. I think when you put out Siamese Dream, you are on MTV and it looks epic and the photographs are dope and everything's crazy, but you don't see Billy in the bathroom scratching his ass every day, do you? You know what I mean? On the iPhone in today's, to break through, you have to document everything to even get above the surface. And I think it was hard for people to understand sometimes, to see in a world where everything is so edited and we all do it. I do it to break through into the 2 millisecond attention span. So I really wanted to create a film that would be a sense of elongation of the imagination so people could really get to know who I am and then make an honest judgment whether they hate me or they love me. You know what I mean? I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I think it was dope to be like, right, roll it and see what the happens, man.
So in talking to Allison, my perception is you're on a once in a lifetime role, and we'll talk about that in a second. And I've been calling that shot for 3 years, so I feel like Nostradamus over here. But Allison's, and she loves you, so you know how she feels about you. But she said, look, I've known him since before his first stuff came out, and he's very much in charge of where this whole ship is going. You know what I mean? The Yungblud Inc. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the question is, and it arose from something she said. She said there's a lot of people who are not in this. You're talking about authenticity. A lot of people aren't sold on what he's bringing to the table. And I, of course, did one of these those people don't know what the hell they're talking about. But I thought it was interesting to ask you, and it's not a speak to the haters question. It's more like where you see people divided on you. Is it a question of authenticity? Is it a question of talent? What is the vibe you're getting up off the street where people aren't sold?
Yeah, I think it's sometimes people don't believe me, and I welcome that challenge. because I think it was so interesting when I spoke to Ozzy about this. He had said like, you cannot take that on. You have to do what you do, and people will maybe probably understand it in hindsight. I think, especially in rock music, I think every generation before, it's like my dad's dad didn't like Oasis because he thought they were ripping off the Beatles. And I think every kind of people before, it's hard to understand someone who is trying to uh, kind of do rock music in a new way, because of course I'm referencing the past, like we all were. You know, I'm saying, I'm saying.
I mean, the amount of people I've ripped off is, you know what I mean.
Exactly. That's
That's the
the point
game.
of it.
That's the fun of it.
That's the fun of it, and that is what I think is really exciting about rock music. I think what was beautiful about the Birmingham gig is, I think the biggest thing with it all is Yungblud as a name. It almost, a negative connotation around it was, oh, I can't like that because it's for the kids. You know, I think it became a thing. Oh, I might be a bit old for that. So it's already like kind of was segregating uh, a demographic almost. But I think what was beautiful about the Back to the Beginning show was it was the first time when an older generation of rock fans had something in common with me. And that was our mutual adoration for our genre. I think people went, oh, he's just a rock fan. He's just a Sabbath fan, like we all are. And I think it's kind of gave people a little opening of a door to maybe fall down the rabbit hole. And when you take something like Bloodfest, I think Yungblud was within this transition point, was such a strange thing for me to navigate, because I was almost falling out of love with my name, because the only things I was becoming insecure about were opinions people were saying about me on the internet. You know, you read things and then you get insecure about things you didn't even know existed.
Like
You know what I mean? She's like, oh
like
my
your
God,
nose or your tooth, right?
yeah, is that what people think about me? You know what I'm saying? And everyone's like, are you going to be Yungblud forever? And that was a question. I was like, oh, I didn't really think about that at 18 years old. I just believed in this idea with everything I got and ran with it. And I remember at the end of the self-titled album, which was probably the most lost I'd ever been, because I was listening to a lot of people, I really was like, I need to stop now. And I need to figure out if Yungblud was going to be a Ziggy Stardust, and if I was going to go on to another thing. But the one thing that made me really re-fall in love with my name was Bloodfest, because after the album, I said, right, I'm going to take a year off the internet, 8 months off the internet, and I'm going to try and take stock of what I want to do. But I'm going to hold an event to say goodbye to the first iteration of
So
what
we're
we've
supposed to be a
created.
funeral.
Yes, almost like a goodbye to the first iteration of
Sure.
whatever the hell this has been. And in my head, I was secretly hoping, like, please let this gig give me an answer or a
Sure.
runway. I wanted to put everyone in one place so I could kind of almost take stock and be like, all right, where are we at right now? What does this represent? And 27,000 people turn up to a field. And it blew my mind, because it was the first time I saw families, babies, mums, dads, obviously 15,000 young kids going nuts at the front. But it was the first time that Yungblud almost became bigger than a 19-year-old kid from the north of England singing about politics, letting his mad ADHD brain be like, I'm going to experiment here, and I'm going to do metal, and I'm going to do rap, and I'm going to do pop, and I'm going to do rock. And it was almost like a celebration of this kind of personified confusion within music that 30,000 of us were feeling.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, Yungblud is bigger than me.